Before we dive into today's story, if this is your first time watching one of our videos, we'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us and helps us bring you even more powerful stories. Stick with us till the very end. And if this story moves you, share your thoughts in the comments and send it to a friend who needs to hear it. Now, let's begin. The rain in Madrid showed no mercy that afternoon, hammering the cracked windshield of Isabella Marquez's old Renault as she pulled into the daycare parking lot in Chamartin. The wipers squealed with every swipe, fighting a losing battle against the storm. Her phone buzzed in the cup holder, a sharp ping that sliced through the rhythm of the rain. Expecting a reminder about groceries or perhaps a note from her daughter, Sophia's teacher, Isabella glanced at the glowing screen. What she saw froze her. Moving to Barcelona with Camila. Transferred the savings to my account. Good luck with rent. Her breath caught. Her fingers locked around the steering wheel. 9 years of sacrifice. Every euro they had managed to put aside, 14,500, vanished with one brutal text from Adrian Vega, the man she once trusted with her life. Only 412 euros remained in checking. Rent of 2,400 was due in 4 days. She forced herself to move, rain soaking through her hoodie as she dashed across the lot. Inside, the daycare smelled of crayons and apple juice, a chaos of laughter and paint-stained tables. "Mama!" cried Sophia, racing toward her, curls bouncing, cheeks glowing. "Did you bring my cookies?" Isabella bent down, pressing a trembling smile to her face. "Not today, mi cielo. How about we stop for some on the way home?" She signed the clipboard, the teacher's cheerful chatter fading into static, the words on Adrian's text still slicing through her chest like shards of glass. The drive back through rain-soaked streets was filled with Sophia's humming, her sweet voice carrying a tune about rainbows and sunshine. "Is Daddy making tacos tonight?" she asked suddenly, her wide brown eyes peering into the rearview mirror. Isabella's throat tightened. She forced her voice to remain steady. "Papa's on a trip, Carino. Tonight we'll have pizza instead." Sophia clapped her hands, delighted, oblivious to the fault lines splitting their lives in two. Isabella, her knuckles white on the wheel, typed a reply to Adrian at the next stoplight. "Thanks for the heads up." 3 words typed through gritted teeth, masking the scream clawing its way inside her chest. At home, their cramped third-floor flat felt smaller than ever. Sophia settled onto the rug, laughing at her favorite cartoon, while Isabella dialed the bank. Rain rattled the window panes as she held her breath. "Senora Marquez, since it's a joint account, your husband had full legal right to withdraw the funds." "There's nothing we can do," the representative said coolly. The final blow came when she checked her balance. 412 euros. Not even enough to cover groceries, let alone rent. Isabella sank onto the sofa, her chest tight, staring at the ceiling as if it could explain how trust had turned into ruin overnight. Her mind betrayed her with memories. 11 years earlier, at a design conference in Seville, she had met Adrian Vega. He charmed her with handwritten notes slipped into her sketchbook, with laughter that promised safety, with a vision of a life they would build together. At that time, Isabella was a rising graphic designer at a small Madrid firm, ambitious and full of dreams, while Adrian, already a confident marketing executive, spoke with the charisma of someone who could sell futures. They married within a year, bought a modest condo near El Retiro Park, and when Sophia was born, Isabella left her climb up the corporate ladder for freelance work, trading deadlines and client meetings for bedtime stories and lullabies. But trust had blinded her to cracks that formed early. Hotel receipts, dinners charged on their credit card, always explained away as client meetings. She had wanted to believe him, wanted stability for their daughter. And now, in the harsh glow of her phone screen, she saw the truth she had buried. Adrian had not just abandoned them. He had prepared for this escape long before the storm arrived. The sharp ring of her phone jolted her from her spiraling thoughts. Teresa Vega's voice, cold and imperious, filled the line. "Isabella, what have you done?" the older woman snapped without preamble. "Adrian says you're keeping Sophia from him unless he pays you more." Isabella nearly dropped the phone. "Teresa, are you listening to yourself? Adrian told you that? He's the one who left. He drained every cent from our account. He's running away with Camila." A scoff like broken glass came through the receiver. "Don't play the victim. I've seen the messages. You're threatening to cut him off from his daughter." Isabella pressed her hand to her forehead, fury mixing with disbelief. "He's lying. He's spinning this so you'll blame me. He's the one who abandoned Sophia." But Teresa wasn't listening. "Spare me your stories," she said coldly. The line went dead. Isabella sat frozen, phone heavy in her hand. Adrian's betrayal wasn't just financial, it was narrative. He was crafting a story in which she was the villain and Sophia was the prize. The next morning, with Sophia safely at daycare, Isabella drove through sheets of rain to Adrian's office near Paseo de la Castellana. Her chest thudded with every breath as she rehearsed her questions, desperate to see him, to force some piece of truth out of his lips. The receptionist's polite smile faltered when Isabella asked for him. "Señor Vega resigned last week," she said gently, twisting a pen between her fingers. "Yesterday was his last day." Isabella's voice cracked. "Resigned? That's impossible. He was here Monday." The woman lowered her eyes. "He submitted his resignation 2 weeks ago." "I'm sorry, Señora. I can't discuss personnel matters." Isabella stumbled back toward the elevator, each step heavier than the last. So it had all been planned. While she prepared Sophia's preschool art show, Adrian had been dismantling their life. In the parking garage, she dialed Mateo Alvarez, Adrian's longtime friend. "Mateo, did you know?" Silence stretched. "ISA. I'm sorry. He made me promise. Said he needed a clean break. Said Camila made him happy. That you and Sophia would be better off." Isabella's voice shook with rage. "Better off? He took everything. 14,000 euros. Mateo, did he tell you that?" Mateo cursed softly. "No, I didn't know that. Dios mío, I say." She ended the call, betrayal layered upon betrayal, her heart pounding with fury. Back at the apartment, a certified letter sat on the mat, its weight pressing into Isabella's palm before she even opened it. Inside was a divorce petition filed a week earlier, naming Adrian's new Barcelona address and his shocking decision to relinquish parental rights to Sophia. A note from his lawyer claimed Isabella had substantial savings to cover all expenses, a fabricated story that twisted the knife. Panic and rage collided as she tore through Adrian's desk, searching for something, anything. In the bottom drawer, she found an envelope addressed to Teresa. Inside, a birthday card written in Adrian's familiar scrawl. "Mama, thank you for the deposit on the Barcelona apartment. Camila and I can't wait to show you. Couldn't have done this without you. Love, Adrian." The date hit Isabella like a stone to the chest. 3 months ago, the same week Adrian had bragged about a promotion. Teresa hadn't just known. She had bankrolled his escape. Isabella's hands trembled as she photographed the card, her breath ragged. It was no longer about saving a marriage. It was about saving her daughter's life from being rewritten by lies. That same afternoon, Isabella found herself in the modest office of Lucia Moreno, a divorce attorney recommended by an old college friend. The window overlooked the bustle of Calle Alcala, but inside the air felt still, serious. Isabella spread the documents on Lucia's desk. The bank statement showing zero balance, the divorce petition, the photograph of Adrian's card to Teresa. Her voice wavered, but did not break. "He took everything. 14,500 euros. He says I have savings, but that's a lie. He's left me with nothing, and now he's telling his mother I'm keeping Sophia from him." Lucia scanned each paper, her expression hardening. "What Adrian did isn't technically illegal with a joint account, but it's deeply unethical. Judges don't like parents who play games with money, especially when a child is involved. We'll file for emergency child support. And with this letter, she tapped the photograph, we can show he had help. That strengthens your case. Isabella leaned forward, whispering, he plans to paint me as unstable. He's rewriting our life. Lucia's tone was firm, her eyes unwavering. Then we'll write it back, with evidence. That evening, Isabella's phone buzzed again. It was her mother calling from Valencia, her father's voice audible in the background. I say we heard. Your cousin told us about Adrian. Listen to me, you are not alone. We'll cover this month's rent. Focus on Sophia. We'll get through this together. Tears pricked Isabella's eyes at their steadiness. Gracias, Mama, she whispered, her shoulders sagging with both relief and exhaustion. After hanging up, she checked Adrian's desk again, desperate for anything that could tip the balance. On the shared laptop, she found a saved draft of an email addressed to Camila. Attached was his resume, updated with his new position at Horizon Global's Barcelona office, starting only 2 days after his brutal text. Her stomach flipped. It was the proof Lucia needed. Adrian hadn't left their life in chaos for love, but for ambition. Isabella forwarded the draft immediately, her fingers trembling with a mix of fury and hope. Later that night, long after Sophia had fallen asleep with her stuffed rabbit tucked under her chin, Isabella sat at the kitchen table with the laptop open, the glow lighting her tired face. She tried Adrian's old passwords, Sophia's birthday, their anniversary. To her shock, one worked. His cloud folders opened like a vault of betrayal, emails to Camila, transfer confirmations, and one chilling file titled Custody Plan. Isabella's heart pounded as she clicked. Words blurred into daggers. Adrian and Teresa intended to use Isabella's postpartum depression, the one she had fought through with therapy, as proof she was unfit. They would push for full custody of Sophia once Adrian was settled in Barcelona. Isabella pressed a hand over her mouth, tears streaming silently. She remembered those dark months after Sophia's birth, how Adrian had urged her to seek therapy, how he had brought her coffee and acted supportive. Now she realized he had been collecting ammunition. Even worse, she found a text from Teresa. Once you're stable in Spain, we'll use her history to take the girl. It's leverage. Isabella's sobs shook the quiet apartment, but beneath the grief a new fire ignited. Among the files was a screenshot that made her breath catch, an account in the Cayman Islands holding 45,000 euros, set up with Teresa's help years ago. It wasn't just proof of deceit, it was a lifeline. Isabella saved every file, sent them to Lucia, her hands trembling not from fear but from determination. The next day, as she helped Sophia with finger painting, her phone rang. The number was unfamiliar, but the voice was unmistakable. Isabella, it's Camila. Isabella froze. Why are you calling me? Camila's tone was strained, stripped of its usual confidence. Adrian's unraveling. He's hiding money in another account in Liechtenstein. Over 200,000 euros. He's flying back to Madrid tomorrow, and he's furious. I don't want to be part of this anymore. I'll give you everything I know, but I want protection. Isabella stepped onto the balcony, her hand tightening on the railing as rain misted the skyline. Why should I trust you? Camila's voice cracked. Because he'll destroy me too. Help me and I'll help you. Isabella called Lucia, who crafted a deal. Camila would provide full documentation in exchange for immunity from legal action. That evening, Camila sent bank statements from the Liechtenstein account, plus a sworn statement outlining Adrian and Teresa's conspiracy to abandon Isabella and push for custody of Sophia. Isabella read the files in silence, Sophia's laughter echoing from the living room, her small voice singing as if the world wasn't collapsing around them. Camila's betrayal wasn't born of loyalty, it was survival, but it gave Isabella the last puzzle piece she needed. When she closed the laptop, her hands were no longer trembling. Adrian thought he could vanish. He thought he could erase her, but Isabella had every thread of his lies, and she was ready to pull. The following morning, Isabella and Lucia walked through the cold marble corridors of the Madrid courthouse. Adrian sat at the other side of the courtroom, his jaw tight, his suit immaculate, but his eyes bloodshot. Beside him, Teresa whispered sharply, her disdain radiating. Lucia stood firm, her voice clear as she laid out the case. Adrian's text announcing his departure, the drained savings, the hidden Cayman and Liechtenstein accounts, the custody plan, the emails, the birthday card showing Teresa's complicity. The judge's brows knitted tighter with every piece of evidence. Adrian's lawyer tried to twist Isabella into the aggressor, but the judge silenced him with a raised hand. "I've seen enough," she said finally, her tone like steel. She granted Isabella temporary full custody of Sophia, froze Adrian's accounts, and restricted his visitation to supervised hours only. Isabella's breath caught, tears welling, but she refused to cry in front of Adrian. For the first time since the storm began, she wasn't merely surviving, she was winning. As they left the courtroom, Teresa's glare seared into Isabella like a curse, but Isabella held her ground, clutching the hand of the only person who mattered, Sophia. Outside, the rain had softened, pale sunlight breaking timidly through the clouds. Isabella looked down at her daughter, who skipped over a puddle, unaware of the battles being fought for her future. Sophia looked up with a grin. "Mama, can we get chocolate churros?" Isabella laughed softly, the sound strange but healing. "Yes, mi cielo, we can." For a moment, standing in the fragile sunlight of Madrid, Isabella felt something she hadn't in weeks: hope. Adrian had tried to erase her life, but instead he had awakened a strength she never knew she carried. And with that strength, she would build a new story, one brushstroke, one truth, one step forward at a time. That evening, after the courthouse storm had settled into memory, Isabella sat at the kitchen table with a cup of manzanilla tea, watching Sophia color a princess castle with her worn crayons. The apartment felt lighter, as though the walls themselves had exhaled. Her phone buzzed, a new email notification. It was from Horizon Global in Barcelona. A woman named Lucia Vega, their HR director, wrote politely, "We received documents about Adrian Vega. After internal review, we have terminated his employment, effective immediately." Isabella's chest tightened. She hadn't sent them. A chill ran through her as she scrolled down. Attached were the same legal documents she had shown the court, bundled with a distorted message that framed her as the one leaking private information. She knew instantly who had done it: Teresa. The older woman had always been calculating, but this move was more than manipulation. It was sabotage. Isabella stared at the screen until Sophia tugged her sleeve. "Mama, look at my castle. It has a secret door." Isabella kissed her daughter's curls, whispering, "So do we, mi cielo, and no one's taking it from us." She forwarded the email to Lucia Moreno, who quickly replied, "Don't worry. This strengthens our case against Teresa. Identity fraud is serious." For the first time, Isabella realized that Teresa's schemes, far from destroying her, were unraveling themselves. The next morning, news rippled through Adrian's world like wildfire. Horizon Global publicly confirmed his dismissal, citing ethical concerns. His reputation in Madrid's marketing circles collapsed overnight. Isabella received a furious call from him hours later, his voice ragged with despair. "You've ruined me, Isa. You'll regret this." She listened in silence before answering with calm steel. "I didn't need to ruin you, Adrian. You did it yourself, and your mother only made it worse." For a moment, the line went quiet, then Adrian muttered something that sounded almost like regret before hanging up. Isabella sat still, heart pounding, but instead of fear, she felt release. This wasn't the man she married. This was someone else, someone who had chosen ambition and deceit over family. She looked at Sophia, who was laughing at the kitchen table, her small fingers sticky with jam from her breakfast toast. Isabella whispered to herself. You will never carry the weight of his betrayal, menina. I'll make sure of it. The words weren't a promise. They were a vow carved from fire. Weeks passed, and Madrid's winter rains softened into the pale light of spring. With the help of her parents and Lucia's relentless advocacy, Isabella secured a modest but bright condo in Lavapiés, its walls already filling with Sophia's watercolor paintings. Freelance work picked up, and soon a design firm offered Isabella a permanent role with flexible hours, recognizing her talent and resilience. Sophia thrived in her new school, bringing home stories of new friends and songs in both Spanish and English. One evening, as Isabella tucked her into bed, Sophia's small voice broke the quiet. Mama, will Papa ever come back? Isabella paused, brushing Sophia's curls gently. I don't know, Carino, but I do know this. We have everything we need right here. You and me. Always. Sophia smiled, eyelids heavy, before drifting into sleep. Isabella sat beside her daughter's bed a little longer, listening to the gentle rhythm of her breathing. Outside, Madrid's streets hummed with life, headlights glinting on wet cobblestones. Isabella exhaled slowly, a smile tugging at her lips. Adrian's parting words, "Good luck with rent," had been meant as a curse. Instead, they had awakened a strength she never knew she carried. She was no longer just surviving betrayal. She was building a life of her own, brushstroke by brushstroke, with Sophia as the brightest color on her canvas. Like and subscribe to my channel for more contents like this, and let us know where you are watching from under the comment section.